Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sustainable Mail Group Symposium, a pathway to reducing plastics in direct mail. As some of you are already aware, my name is Andrew Gustin, and I'm the Executive Director of the Sustainable Mail Group. Just some quick housekeeping details for this event. We're scheduled to go from 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. this afternoon. I did a reality check, but if you want to do a reality check again for us, you can ask questions using either the chat or the Q&A function. But if you want to just send us off a quick message via the chat, that'll confirm that everybody's got access to it. And if somebody wants to just send a quick question in the Q&A, that's great. I also found out that one of our attendees, we've got a pretty varied group here. We've got people dialing in from Boston and the Azores. That's wild. We are recording the event, so if you haven't done so, you can go over to our YouTube channel and check out all of our past events. Over there, I think we've got somewhere in the vicinity of about 10 or 11, maybe 12 events that we've posted there over the years. And if you don't want to miss any of the content, just make sure you click on that bell icon in the YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. That way you'll get a reminder anytime that we end up posting anything. And if you like what you see, please, by all means, consider joining the Sustainable Mail Group. Both of our panelists today are members, and it enables us to do activities like this, as well as producing some of the other content. If you go over to the chat right now, you should end up seeing a link to both a join form that you can do on our website, a link to our YouTube channel. You can also order hard copies or soft copies of our design guide there. And I've also provided direct links to both of our panelists' companies, as well as their LinkedIn profiles. So without further ado, let's just get into this. And if you don't mind, I'll ask our panelists to provide a bit of an introduction to both themselves as well as the company that they end up running. So Arthur, would you mind starting us off on that front?
Yeah, my name is Arthur Winiarczyk. I'm a CEO President of Admil Group, an elite boundary. And most of us who know us, we pretty much in direct mail distribution systems for about 25 years or so. And we're well known for distribution door-to-door using Canada Post in a plastic bag. And I assume there's a lot about that being a conversation to have. That's pretty much it. I guess most people know who we are about for the last 25 years. But generally speaking, we are a door-to-door distribution company, one of the largest in Canada, providing approximately 1.5 to 1.8 million doors every single week.
Wow. Thank you. Tim?
Very good. Tim Wakefield from Insource. We're actually going to have our 20th year anniversary this summer, so we're very excited about that. Everybody's welcome. So we can do that all in Insource. On the other note, I've been in the industry since the 80s, quite some time, specializing originally in mail, but then moving into print and packaging. We're not a manufacturer, we're a distributor and a service provider. We have multiple companies that we work with worldwide, and we provide their technology. We provide the installation process and the ongoing service and support and parts. Our primary focus is not so much on selling the product, but providing the right solution so that our customers can maximize their revenue.
And both of you guys are located in Toronto, correct? But your areas of operations are nationwide, right?
Yes.
Well, yes, in our situation, generally speaking, we focus on Ontario, but we do provide services all across the country as well.
Okay, thank you. So I want to dive into the questions and the back and forth here. The reason this kind of started out though was we created a plastics roadmap in anticipation of changes with regards to policies that Canada Post had ended up putting into place, but also to look ahead and to try to provide insight and roadmaps and directions for our membership and for other companies that are in the industry to look at responsible means by which to actually, provide or utilize plastics in their direct mail programs. You guys were very front and center in being able to create a case study with that, and that's why we're having this conversation. Can you give us a little bit of a background, Archer, as to what drove you in the direction, because it required a bit of a transition for you folks from what you were doing before to what you're doing now and in the future. So can you give us a little bit of a history behind that then, please?
Yes, of course. Tim and I, we chatted a little bit about this. I wasn't exactly sure when, but somewhere around 2.5 years ago, Tim mentioned that was August 2022.
August 22, exactly.
We met probably in my office at that point, and I was just kind of expressing myself that we need to change the way we do polybagging and how we deliver our flyers and how we package them. And my idea for the longest time prior to was to have some sort of a solution that you would just wrap the flyers with the paper rather than plastic. And when I met Tim, we quickly engaged a conversation, and I thought, since he's got represents a number of different companies, he had mentioned to me that if we can go to Vegas for the trade show, which was on October, I think, 2020. Then maybe we can outsource, to do some research there and go around and talk to a number of perhaps interested parties that would be willing to talk to us. As you can imagine, when you have an idea that is so out of that people get used to it on a regular basis, we've been involved in a plastic bag since beginning of time. It took a few tries, different directions that anybody would even engage in that idea. So when we met in Vegas, we talked to a number of vendors, and one of them was Burr's company that was expressed the biggest interest for us. That being said, they were not willing to just dive into this new technology and put something together without having some sort of a commitment. We didn't have any commitment for yet, not knowing exactly what we're looking for. So we allocated some investment in terms of $50,000, if I remember correctly, just to pay some engineers to create a technology for us. It didn't exist at the time. Something might be challenged with that doesn't exist, because the technology exists in terms of doing the envelope all around the flyers, or perhaps a full wrap, or some of the areas that they can do with the flat flyers, but nothing folded and exactly what we wanted to do. So we have to kind of create that technology ourselves with Insource, obviously, help, and the Burrs.
That's right.
So that's pretty much how we'll start about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. One of the manufacturing partners that we started with was showing a line at the show where they were taking a roll of paper, delivering the roll of paper, and they were actually creating an envelope around the product. And originally, that's where we started. And we thought that might be a reasonable solution, but it didn't have the size. There wasn't the size capability.
No, it's I met with Canada Post a number of times prior to, and they said that it would be ideal if we can do something like that, but with the folded flyers, quarter folded flyers, rather than they had them flat, because the new way of Canada Post mailboxes are kind of smaller version of it, and that was an issue for them. So I was talking to Tim and the Burrs at the time, and I just grabbed a piece of napkin and I was kind of showing to them, if you can fold the flyers. I got them over here. If I can fold the flyers, we had some flyers with us, and kind of come up with that kind of solutions this way, that would be ideal. And yes, Burrs said, we have done something 50 years ago, they have said, for their local newspapers in Netherlands. And they thought that they can bring the technology back. So, and they did.
Right. Prior to that, the way that they were running it, the way that they were doing it, they were actually wrapping it the exact same way, but it was in a flat scenario. And the flat scenario with the wrap around it was not acceptable to Canada Post. So basically, and obviously with Arthur's view of having it half folded. So we ended up speaking with Burrs and talking to him about that. First thing was taking the time to go to the Burrs factory and just kind of have a view of who they are, what they did, understand the engineering and manufacturing behind what they actually do. And then from there, we ended up going to the Deutsche Post. And we went to the German Post, and I think there was 8 machines that were running. And they were running at significant speed. Actually, they were running, I think, at 12 to 15,000 an hour in that area. And we had a little funny discussion about that because we didn't talk about actually running at that speed, but they were running very, very, very well. So after that, we went back to the Burrs factory, and Burrs demonstrated their process of how they would integrate taking the flat sheets and then folding.
The folding was a key for us.
Very much the key. Very much.
We want to try to be different. There is not a company, to my knowledge, who is folding the flyers and wrapping them in the paper wrap the same way. And that was probably the biggest challenge, to be honest with you, to be able to get the flyers folded first before we can wrap them around.
Yeah, man, it was also a very aggressive. It was an aggressive fold. So it wasn't something that was going through a plow and easily turning the product over. The product was coming forward, and then it was being folded and compressed, and then through the entire process until it came out the other side of the machine, it was actually pressed down. So it did a very good job at folding this. And then from there, it went forward into the paper banding. And the paper banding is also done in such a way that it's not loose and floppy on the outside. And again, Canada Post was very focused on that it had to be a very tight, tight fold.
I knew it was a journey. Definitely
Yes.
It was a journey. We pretty much have to create the technology from the scratch.
Yes.
And that took us about a year and a half.
That's right.
Working with the engineers, with Tim, with number of people involved, with Canada Post. Obviously, every step away, I needed Canada Post to be involved for them, if that's acceptable or not. First of all, I met with Canada Post just to ensure the concept of this, it's even acceptable by Canada Post, and they did accept the concept. And from there, we'll start dealing with the Burrs, and they have done a phenomenal job for us, because all of that Tim just mentioned has to be done in the speed of minimum of 7,000 an hour. And that was a huge challenge. There is equipment that can do it, but in a lot less of the
That's right.
Speed. So yes, that's a long answer for your question, but that's
and for the volume you're doing, absolutely.
Yes.
No, it answers a bunch of questions that I ended up having. So let me understand something here then is that how long was the process to actually, once you guys had, kind of sort of decided that this was the route that you wanted to end up going to present to Canada Post in order for them to run on their equipment, and how many, samples did you have to end up providing? Because I would expect that there's already a big commitment to try to, get this up and running before you get a sign off from Canada Post. So how long did that process go?
With Canada Post, there is a process involved. I mean, I met with Canada Post as soon as I have an idea of doing this product with the fold and the wrap. So we make a mock-up over here ourselves, just manually, and just to give the concept. They give it to product department. They accept the concept, but they said we would like to see the product actually off the machine. So if there's enough I guess strength and the shake test that they do, so nothing just falls off, and the integrity of the package is still being maintained. As you can imagine, we're going for the full wrap for only 4 inches. So with Canada Post, once we travel for the first time, I believe, to Netherlands, they have a prototype put together, which pretty much 2 or 3 machines not even working together. They were just kind of folding this part
from one to the other,
and they were wrapping on this part, and that was delivered here, but they give us an idea how we can build this machine, how the machine is going to look like. It was really didn't look like much, to be honest with you.
No.
But but we ran, I don't know, maybe 100 samples or so, wasn't that many. And I grabbed a few of them and I brought it to Canada Post. We met with the Canada Post panel. We had quite a few people here in our office, specifically from the product department. They took those samples, took the whole process, so whatever they do exactly there. I'm not exactly sure how the process worked, but they get back to us in a couple of weeks or so with the certification of approval. Based on that, I could go back to Tim and his team and the Burr say, okay, let's go. We have approval for Canada Post, because obviously if Canada Post didn't approve the product itself, that would not work. So we went back to Netherlands and we signed the deal to get at least one machine in time, just to see how it performs.
Yeah. Now, on that note, for the testing that was done in the Netherlands, Arthur sent over how many skids of product? Like we're talking big container skids of product.
Well, yeah, we were gathering flyers
volume was
for the longest time for that reason, to have a number of flyers that they can test on. So we had, obviously, when you have some leftovers over week by week, so we gathered quite a few of that and sent over to them. I wouldn't say it was container, but it was enough for them to run the tests. Yeah.
There was a lot, but that was excellent. And that was excellent. So making that investment in the process was critical to get it done the right way.
So do you guys find, I mean, how do you guarantee the quality of the items that are coming out the end of your line right now versus the previous packaging format? Like, do you find that there are any shortcomings, or are there any benefits? Like what are the differences that you're seeing in terms of how you're packaging now versus how you used to end up packaging, both positive and possibly negative?
One of the components built into the machine right now is an automatic divert. So if the product is not created correctly, if it isn't sealed, if the band isn't sealed properly, then the system knows that and it diverts it. So it's not a matter of having hands in place and pulling product and moving other things around. When it comes to the end of the line, it's ready to go.
Yeah, it also has a very good system with the sensors. If there's a double insertion for the flyer, specific flyer, there's two of them, which is common in our business. When you have a feeders and you feed the flyer, sometimes two flyers get stuck together, and if you fit a flyer, sometimes two can go in. So that machine has sensors and just reject the whole package.
Yeah, so it doesn't stop the line and slow the process down. It just simply diverts it.
Have you seen any difference? This may come across as a difficult question to answer, but have you seen any difference at the delivery side of things in terms of consumers around, what they get and whether they not necessarily perceive a difference in the quality, but like in a plastic bag, right? It's going to be protected against rain and weather and whatnot. In a sleeve, there's a difference there. Have you had any feedback from those people at all?
Yes. Well, me personally, I like aesthetic of the product. I think it looks far better and it's easier to get to the flyers. You don't have to rip through the plastic and try to get to it. 1, 2, recycle issue. To be proper recycled product, you have to separate plastic from the paper, and most people unfortunately do that, so they would just kind of leave the bag as is. So that was a big issue for us over here. Now, since the whole product is paper, it's a lot easier. From that perspective, it's a game changer for us. Now, the feedback that we're getting from, first of all, the weather issue that I had mentioned, Andrew, it doesn't really apply too much to Canada Post distribution. It would apply to the door-to-door distribution. If we have to do ourselves, then yes, that would be a challenging, since some of the areas in the GTA don't have mailboxes. They have super mailboxes, which means you don't have access to that, and you would have to go to door-to-door distribution, which we have done it through the Stripe. I don't want to even go there, but it happened. So yeah, that would be definitely a challenging for us scenario. But so far, we have sent our new product to every single station. We rotate every single station in Ontario. And every feedback that we got so far was far more positive than even I imagined, to be honest with you. I thought that maybe say, it's ripping apart or it's not safe. The comment came in here is no longer slippery on the floor if somebody dropped it. So safety issue is far better for them. It aesthetically looks nicer. The package now is bulky because there's no air stuck inside the bag. So you can kind of hold in your hand a lot more than you can do with the poly. Those small little things make a huge difference in distribution. So yeah, very positive feedback.
Yeah,
and you're opening it with a positive attitude. You're not dealing with something that is, you're not dealing with a plastic where there's an issue when it becomes trash. You're now dealing with paper. And I know myself when I get it and open it up, first of all, when it comes to the door, I'm just going, yes, this is so good, because I know where it's coming from. And but the reality is it's a positive mindset, right? And it's not just Admill that's part of it. It's really good on everybody that is within that set. So the stores that are within what I just received, they're all very positive on that also. So it shows a very positive light to them with regards to what it is they're doing, with regards to dealing with non-plastic items.
Thanks. I apologize for kind of interrupting. Sometimes it's a bit of a connection here issue, but yeah, I want to highlight something that you guys ended up saying about this too, which is crucial, and it kind of dovetails back into our plastics roadmap, which is the need to separate plastics from paper when disposing of materials. And even in places where we have separate streams, like here in Ottawa, for instance, for paper materials and plastic materials, a lot of people don't do that. So that's a huge benefit. Like that I guarantee you that, at the end of it, when people are collecting those materials and then, feeding them into a recycling stream, that definitely improves the quality of the materials that they're receiving there too. So that's great. That's really very important. How much, because there's a transition here from what you were doing before to what you're doing now. How much effort was required to train your employees to work on the new systems? And how did that process end up working once the equipment ended up arriving?
Well, we have sent our engineers over to Netherlands, so they ran machines there. Tim was also with his
Yes.
people as well, because he provides the maintenance services and whatever is necessary to maintain the production. So we sent a few people to be trained in Netherlands, and they brought. Then we have 2 or 3 of their engineers came here for a couple of weeks.
Yes,
couple of weeks. So they trained our people. We designated a few top operators that we have who are familiar with Sitma's different product, but very similar in a lot of ways. And they received the training for a couple of weeks. So to be honest with you, Andrew, it wasn't too bad. The transition was pretty seamless for us. It was just to get to know electronics a little more better. So you need someone who is familiar with the computerized technology rather than just mechanical. So that was maybe more challenging for some of the operators, that they have to use computer more often rather than just going around and adjusting belts. So
it's a PLC control screen.
Yeah.
So from an operator perspective, rather than going down and twisting and turning and doing what they needed to do, now they would just go to the computer screen and go, okay, we want to go from this to this, and just touch the PLC and away it goes. So it was much easier to work.
But to make a long story short, it wasn't too bad. Actually, it was pretty seamless.
Arthur, do you have an idea as to how much plastic material you guys were able to move out of? Like, did you collect any information there?
No, I thought about it to do it. Well, I think we do approximately, I believe, 25,000 pounds a week. So it's a lot of plastic. I mean,
sorry, did you say 55,000?
I think it's about 25,000, I believe.
A week?
Yeah, it's I spoke to Mike Goran, he knows better, and I don't remember right now, but let me think about it. We were producing, close to 1.5 million bags a week, and the fully wrapped. We use approximately 11 rows a week. Each row is about 180 pounds. So yeah, it's about 4,500 pounds of poly. It's a lot of plastic that's being go to the system through us.
Wow.
Right now we'll be able to. We are about 30% into paper now. So we're still producing, unfortunately, about 70% in polybag, but that will change very, very, very shortly. In fact, I'm flying tomorrow to Netherlands and making the final touches with the product and the technology, and we're going to be ordering a few more machines, and we will be completely 100% out of plastic by end of the summer.
Wow. Cool. So do you mind if I kind of transition over to Tim then, and maybe,
Can I just
talk
jump
to him
in for
about
a
this?
second?
Pardon me?
Be an applause there for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's very good. That's very good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree what you're doing, and the fact that you're removing poly from that work, not the fact that it's bringing us business, but that's nice. But the fact is that it's so much better for the environment, and that itself is tremendous. And it's not an inexpensive solution
feels right.
that he's bringing to the table. This is an expensive scenario that you're doing, but you're doing it for Canada. That's really good. It's very positive. Sorry for jumping in and giving a clap, but
I believe it's probably the only company in Canada who's actually investing in this as far as distribution company goes. Maybe in North America.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody doing it. People kind of give up on things very quickly. And because the technology wasn't there, it's easy to give up on it too, because nobody wants to spend money and create technology from the scratch. It's the toughest part to do. If there's something there for you that you can just see it and know it's working, and you can say, I want that, that is a lot easier. But if you go around and nobody has nothing for you, and you have to engage a number of people and say, can you create this for me? Because that's what I want, and I know that cost me a lot more for the first machine, obviously, because of new technology. That's a very tough thing to do.
If your primary focus is maximizing profitability, and that's the only thing you care about, that's wrong. In this case, obviously, what you've done is very, very good, but it's also been costly, but there's a big reward to everybody for it.
So, and I didn't really put this question to you guys before, but maybe you can provide a little bit of insight to it. Outside of the capital investment and outside of the capital cost, do you find yourselves in a position right now spending more for the packaging or less for the packaging? Like, ultimately at a per unit level, are you better off, or is it a wash for you guys?
It's probably going to be a wash.
Okay.
We're hoping to. Well, it's Andrew. It's a little bit too soon to tell, because it's all about number of people we're going to use for per machine and the speed. Those two components are extremely important for us, and because I only have one right now, and we're still learning how maximize the speed and minimize number of employees that need to be involved in a specific machine. We're actually talking right now about maybe get the stockers, automatic stockers, automatic strappers that will help us with the speed, because right now when we run 7,000-8,000 an hour, people in the end, they're receiving the product, they can't keep up, so we have to slow down the machine. And when you slow down a machine by 20%, that means your labor cost goes up by 20%. So there's a number of things that we have to take into consideration. But I'd be very happy if it's a break even, to be honest with you, because not having poly anymore and having all paper, it's a far better solution. Obviously, we know all that. But I'm hoping actually it actually should lower our cost, to be honest with you, in the end. Once we have all the machines here and we all train, I think about 6 months or so, I think we can lower it with additional investments of the automatic stackers and strappers.
And on the automatic strapper and stacker part of it, we're doing it with paper as well. So it's no longer going to be a nylon or a plastic band that goes around. It's paper again. So it's another positive for the environment.
Are you able to to utilize that paper surface for anything other than containment? Can you put any messaging on it? Can you put any other advertising space on that?
And that is actually a very good question, Andrew, because when you asked me before if that's a break-even solution for us, then without option to be able to print on the top of the our product, maybe it's a break-even solution. However, all the equipment, all the machines going to be equipped with the high-speed printers, which we already have on this one. And the idea is here that we would like to print messages on each of the package on a weekly basis on every single house and apartments that are being delivered in the terms of QR coding. So the customer is going to have an option of putting different messages or one item on sale, for example, so we can measure that how well we did. And that message is going to be actually physically delivered to every single house and apartment. So it's a combination of older technology, with the distribution of flyers, with a new digital message and space combined together. And I think that's what the most exciting about, that you actually have a digital advertisement message delivered physically to your home, which nothing like that exists as far as I know.
Super. So sorry, I just want to go back to kind of pivoting over here right now. And you guys are covering material far better than I'm actually asking questions. I'm very pleased with that. Tim, can we talk about your company a little bit in terms of like, what are the packaging options available from your company? And, from a, let's focus from the specific area of interest, which is right now direct mail, but then maybe kind of step back out in terms of other options if you're in other pieces of business, perhaps. And, what's the scalability of the options that are available? Because I mean, there are people who are of Admil size, but then there are a lot of participants who might be smaller in terms of their abilities. And I don't need to be specific about this particular solution, but are there smaller scale options that might be available, from a packaging perspective, in terms of the portfolio of items that you guys produce?
Yeah, there's a lot of different technologies that we work with. Historically, as I mentioned, we started in the mail industry. And we were focused on that, whether we were dealing with addressing or envelope inserting or clip sealing and tabbing in that entire process. And then we got involved with everything that was involved in that area. So we provide folding technology and everything as it relates to that. We've since added product that is in the packaging environment. Obviously, we've dealt with Burrs, our primary manufacturer here, for many years, and we have multiple solutions in the field. Nothing like this as it stands. This is very unique to the Canadian marketplace, to the worldwide marketplace, actually, as it stands right now. In addition to that, we are also in the packaging world. We do a lot of work in the cannabis industry, in the pharma industry, in the packaging industry. We provide technology that does folding and gluing, box creation. We have technology that would then go in line with that and be able to print the details on that as it goes. In the cannabis industry, for example, we print the CBD and THC values on the product before it goes out. Again, looking for ways for our customers to maximize the profitability of what they do. Historically, in that market, you're not allowed to put the actual lot details on the product until 2 weeks before it goes out. So cannabis company would usually understand what they have. They would then order from the manufacturer, and they may order 75,000 pieces. Well, as it turns out, maybe they need 85,000 pieces and they have to go back for another 10. Or maybe there's only 10,000 pieces and they wasted 65,000. So again, those capabilities are there. We also deal with the print world. We're not in the high volume production Heidelberg marketplace, but in digital printing, we've got technology that is very good for printing envelopes. We call it a fire jet, but there's also an 1170 in that same marketplace, which gives us that same capability to be able to do that. But within that world, even moving out of the mailing world, we have companies that do napkins and coasters and cup sleeves, something that's completely different than this market that we're in. Even in the digital die cutting world, we have, we just installed a couple of weeks ago, a device that has a high capacity in feed, a high capacity out feed, and the table on it will handle product that's coming in that's 6 feet by 12 feet in size, up to multiple inches thick. So there's a variety of different technologies that we have. But the key is really understanding where our customer wants to go and how we can maximize their profitability.
So can we just get into a bit of a question here? Because my history has been in the packaging world, and I know that on the equipment side of things, it's always a challenge when you're dealing with, complicated equipment solutions. What's your service offering like in this particular scenario? Like, how do you, once the equipment's been installed and post, installation and use, how do you guys end up supporting customers after the fact in terms of, the service and maintenance side of things?
That's a very good question. Historically, whenever anybody bought a product, there would be a maintenance contract. And the maintenance contract would be a percentage of what the product was. So if they bought something for $10,000, the maintenance contract would be 15%. And it would be automatically something that would be done. But what we found is that wasn't necessarily the most profitable way to work with our customers. So what we did with our customers is we kind of backed that off and we said to them, why don't you acquire a block of service hours? So they acquire a block of service hours which does not expire. So if they have a 40-hour block of service hours and they only use 10 hours for a year, they have another 30 hours, and they can use it for any piece of equipment they have. So Arthur has multiple pieces of our technology. So the service block that's available for the Burst product could also be used on other technology that he has from us. So the concept is trying to minimize the costs for our customers. The other thing that we do, if they would like, we provide a higher level of education and training. So Arthur's team here is very, very good. And if they have service-related issues, chances are, from the training they've got, they would be able to handle them internally. And therefore, it's not costing money.
That's great.
So that's out there. And basically, we do that because we deal with customers coast to coast in Canada. And we're more than happy with being able to provide that.
So we're really different that way because we're a pretty big shop here, and we have full-time 3-4 maintenance people on staff. So they just maintain our equipment on a regular basis. Smaller shop would not have anybody like that, and they will be using Tim's team more often.
Yeah. But even if it was a smaller shop, and we do have a couple that are quite small, and we'll say to them, if you want a maintenance contract, that's fine. But if you'd rather have a service block of hours that you use when you need, then we can do it that way. Now, one thing we have done very recently is with the newest program, we have built in preventative maintenance. Because preventive maintenance, no matter who you are, it's required. Now, it could be quarterly, it could be semi-annually, it could be annually, but preventive maintenance needs to be done where you clean everything up, you pretty much get it back to new again, and then it's ready to run. Because the last thing you want is a service call when the machine's down.
Especially when you run something on the weekly basis like we do here. We run on minutes and hours. It's not days or months or weeks. So we need, we pretty much 24/7. We only have 1.5 days for maintenance, and we have to do as much job as we can.
That's right. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. In
Very detailed.
No, but that's
I know.
No,
but falling asleep while I was saying it. So.
I think we got some questions.
it's more important that you can end up thinking, because I know from being in the industry for quite a while that there are a lot of people who sell equipment solutions and don't have either an ability necessarily to end up supporting those equipment solutions, or one that, you know, the customer can easily end up adhering to. So it's refreshing to hear that you guys have, you know, provided a number of options with regards to how customers can ensure that their equipment's working after the initial installation. So how, you know, you guys have you know, illustrated the path that you got to the point where you're at right now. It seems to me, Arthur, that Tim's company was kind of the one solution that you guys ended up coming to, or did you kick the tires on around a number of different companies early in the stages, and if so, how did you kind of end up with Tim? Not that that's a bad thing, Tim. I'm sure you're a great person to hang around with.
We have a number of companies actually we reached out to, and for years now, Andrew, I think I was engaging myself in the conversation with a number of companies, such as Insource, for the last probably 5 years. There was always some pressure from the customers to eliminate the plastic, and then obviously Canada Post make that official by December 31st, 2025, that they would no longer accept any plastic in their system. So that helped a lot. But we always had this conversation prior to, and obviously the pressure from the customers and for ourselves, you know, to do the right thing and steer the company to the more sustainable, you know, solution for our future of the business. So that was always on my mind. And most customers that we have talked to, that you said the technology doesn't exist. And that's what we're getting from everyone. It doesn't exist what you want. There is some, but not with the speed you want. There was some we come across that Palamedes, if I can mention the name, they said we can do it in 1800.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're never going to make money on the 1800 speed. We need minimum 7,000. And that was kind of scaring everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we have been in the conversation of number of companies, but nothing got off the ground till we talked to Tim. And I knew Tim prior to, we just didn't kind of talk about it, about the solutions. So it just kind of, you know, became very organically out of nowhere. I don't even remember the conversation, to be honest with you. But I know the Vegas trip was, I know people think in Vegas it's all about fun, but it's actually, you can do good work.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So Tim, if you're, you know, providing any insight, you know, to somebody who's on this call or is going to watch any of these YouTube videos after the fact, like what's the principal point of engagement? Like what's the process typically end up working through? How do they get in touch with you guys? You know, what's typically the conversation like from that initial contact?
Good question. Generally speaking, if reach out by email to start off, even text or cell phone call. I have no problem with that at all. But the big thing is really understanding what the end user wants to do, what the requirement is, what the technology they currently have does. So once we understand the process that they want to follow, then we have to figure out how to get them to the next point. Again, the primary goal is for them to not buy something that isn't going to work, or not buy something that's a short-term fix that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but acquiring technology that's going to maximize profitability. And basically, once we talk about applications and understand what our customers want to do, then I reach out to our manufacturing partners. And we probably have close to 50 of them worldwide. And they're very good. Arthur mentioned Palamedes. That's another one that we're very much involved with.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of technology that we have in our hands. But the big thing is, and I say this to individuals on our team, very important to, you know, somebody may call us and say, I'm looking for a high-speed inkjet printer. So to go in and to talk about a high-speed inkjet printer is not really the solution. The solution is, let me understand what you do. Let me see your facility. Let me look at the entire process. Then once we understand that, quite possibly a high-speed inkjet printer might not be the solution. It might be something else that relates to that is going to provide you the better solution. So it's understanding what the goals are and the objectives of the customer, as opposed to selling a box.
One of the takeaways I want from that actually, Tim, is that, you know, we'll when we post the video to YouTube, we'll make sure we post the specific contact details of how they can end up getting in touch with you guys through that as well. I've gotten through all of my questions. We've gotten a couple of questions out of the field here, so let me just get into those. And so the first one comes from Paul Mackey out in BC. And I think you may have answered this a little bit, but I think it's worthwhile getting a little bit more into the detail of this. So Paul asks, was this a retrofit of a BERS device, of an existing BERS device, or is this a new BERS device specific to applying the paper sleeve?
Yes, so this is specific brand new equipment that has been assembled for that reason alone. That being said, the delivery systems of the feeders are nothing. There's not a new technology in there, so you can definitely, you know, retrofit it that if you do have a delivery system. But the machine that we have acquired and we have right now, and when I get some more, it's a brand new system from the beginning to the end.
And Paul, I think if you've got any more questions, you can. I mean, I suspect Paul's at Hemlock Direct right now, and I think that you can likely ask those questions direct to Tim. So I'll make sure you guys have each other's contact details as a result of that afterwards.
I'm more than happy anytime somebody wants to give us a call or reach out to me through the website or email. By all means, it's always the right thing to do, I think.
So I got a question from Maynard now. Talking about well, not one of my favorite topics, because this is a bit of a dog's breakfast in some respects, but I'll kind of broaden the question a little bit. The specific question is that what about the possibility of using things like biodegradable pouches or wrappings, compostable materials? So let's go back a bit to, you know, non-paper based solutions. Are there, and I think this is more for Tim, but are there any restrictions with regards to the types of materials that you guys can end up providing solutions towards? And you know, can you maybe elaborate on that?
Sure. If the standard unit will handle compostable poly. The problem with compostable poly is that if you have that compostable poly and you leave it outside on your steps, the poly will probably break down. But if the poly goes into trash and is 6 feet underground and doesn't have any air and doesn't have any sunlight, is it going to break down?
It needs triple components: the air, the sun, and the moisture.
That's right.
To decompose.
That's right.
This is
don't have it.
many issue with that. We explore before we even went the direction of the paper wrap. We explore every way possible: biodegradable, compostable solution, and there is so many problems with it. First of all, there's not a lot of suppliers who can provide you with the product you need, which means it's extremely expensive. Two, you can't store it. We do, like I said, close to 2 million packages every week. And we need to have 6 weeks in advance product of poly to make sure, you know, that we have enough just in case something happens. That is 10,000 square feet of our warehouse. This thing just for the poly. If I bring biodegradable poly and sit there for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, by the time we use it, it will be completely compromised. It will not act properly anymore, and it's completely wasted.
Yeah.
So that is out of the question.
Yeah.
Biodegradable is just it's a smoking mirror. It doesn't mean anything, and it's probably even worse than anything else I can use because there's all kinds of chemicals in it to try to dissolve itself in 6 months to 8 months. But I don't even know how that really works. Yeah. I would stay out of it. Yeah. I think that paper that is the way to go. There is a lot of studies being done on the paper. There's a lot of suppliers in the paper business. And our paper that we use is 100% from recyclable product. It's brought from Germany.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we here in Canada or US don't have those options, not yet. So we ordering our paper from Germany, and it's 100% from recyclable product.
And tariff free, it seems, for the moment.
And tariff free.
Very good point. Very good point.
Thanks. And Maynard, I sent you a link to our plastics roadmap, and it maybe might end up illustrating some of, our perspective on utilizing, well, oxidogradable plastics or not utilizing them. And I appreciate your comments, gentlemen, with regards to some of the challenges you may end up dealing with in terms of compostables, and even thinking of it from the point of view of end of life scenarios, because I'm not really sure what the overall availability for industrial composting facilities with regards to the municipalities that we service across the country. That's it for questions. Oh, okay, good. Sorry. That's it for questions on our side.
See that there's a one on about Canada Post question.
Oh, wait, sorry, I didn't see that. Oh, so Arthur, this is for you. Thanks for noticing that. So that you presented to a Canada Post panel. Do you remember what the department is and how do we contact them?
Yes, it's they call it the product department. So if you whatever you're dealing with as far as you wrap for Canada Post, they can connect you with that department. They call themselves product department.
And one last question actually from Patrick as well, which is, can you and I don't know what a SITMA machine is, hopefully one of you two will know, but can you retrofit a SITMA machine for a paper band?
That's a very good question, Patrick. See, like you did some homework. Yes, there is. SITMA's been around for the longest time. They kind of went out of business for a while, and they're coming back to that space again. They're a little behind the burst, in my opinion. However, that being said, they are working really, really hard to come up with their own paper band solution. So there is some equipment there. I just don't know. I will do some more research myself and visit SITMA myself next week to see what exactly they're offering. But right now, I to my knowledge, a little behind burst. That's my knowledge. I don't know what. Do you have any?
Yeah, I don't do work with SITMA. SITMA is not SITMA as I remember them. They're a different organization now.
They're bought by Techno, company,
yeah.
And it became a division of the much bigger company. And I don't know if they focus too much about that. Maybe, perhaps. I think they're trying, and they're trying pretty good. I met some people there already. I like people that they're working with them. But it's a two different, I wouldn't say technology because it's similar in a lot of ways, but SITMA is much more mechanical than the burst would be. Not in the sense that it's something wrong with it, because sometimes it's easier just to deal with the mechanical machines than more electronics.
And there may also be potential to integrate one into the other. So if you're dealing with, if you talk about an old burrs machine, for example, the old burrs machine has multiple feeders in place and has a transport in place. Well, at the end of that line, there is a polywrap section on it. Well, that polywrap section could potentially be removed. And then we could put potentially a folding section on it and a banding section.
It's challenging. And that's only one SITMA that we can mix with. It's 1150.
Yeah.
And the other SITMAs would work with burrs. I already did a lot of research on that. Yeah. So Patrick, if you want to call me, as you know, we know each other well. I can give you some more information. But to make sure, SITMA is in the paper band business as of last year, I would like to think, and they're trying to compete with burrs. That's pretty much as far as I know.
as a takeaway, I'll make sure that both Paul and Patrick have all of your contact details, although I suspect you guys all know each other anyways. We're running out of time. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation. This was fabulous. Far and above, what I was hoping to achieve, and you guys did, you batted it straight out of the park. So thanks a lot for that. Just a quick set of points that I want to get into before we call it a day. We did record this session, and if you weren't able to participate through it, if you want to share the session after the fact, you can always go back to our YouTube channel. You'll get an email advising you when that ends up getting posted. Please share that video, as I mentioned, with your colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe. And finally, if you feel that there's benefit to what you guys saw today and your participation, is by all means, come in, join SMG. I sent you the link as to how to join us. You can always just email me directly. That's Andrew Gustin at sustainablemailgroup.ca. Thank you all. Thanks for a great session, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Andrew.
See you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.